I left town for 2 days, and HOA Karen turned my pool into Coachella with raffle tickets, a DJ, and cotton candy. That's it. This time, she's meeting the Finn. HOA Karen threw a pool party while I was away, so I installed a shark fin robot. Part 1. The ping, the pool, and the clipboard queen. I was supposed to be off-grid. No emails, no calls, no HOA drama. Just me, my tent, and the Appalachian Mountains. But peace doesn't last long. When your backyard becomes the neighborhood's unauthorized water park. It was the second afternoon of my trip. I was standing on a ridge, soaking in the view, when my phone buzzed. At first I thought it was spam, but when I glanced down and saw the push notification from my home security system, motion detected, backyard pool, my stomach dropped. I hadn't told a soul I was leaving. The gate was locked. Access required a fingerprint, so either something was seriously broken or someone had seriously lost their mind. I turned off airplane mode, loaded up the security feed, and my heart skipped. There were people everywhere, some floating on pool inflatables, others blasting music from my outdoor speakers, and then I saw her. Sunglasses, oversized sun hat, megaphone in one hand, clipboard in the other. Marge Templeton, the HOA's self-proclaimed pool princess. She stood at the deep end like she was hosting the neighborhood Olympics. "Keep the kids on the shallow side. Raffle starts in 30 minutes. Raffle? I almost dropped my phone off the mountain. Marge had thrown a full-blown HOA pool party in my backyard while I was miles away, and it only got worse from there. Part 2, rafts, rakes, and rage. I tapped through every camera feed like a man possessed. Front yard? A DJ. Spinning tracks like it was Coachella. Kids doing chalk art on my sidewalk. One of them had drawn Marge as a mermaid. Backyard? My grill was being lit by a guy I'd never seen. My patio? Covered in folding chairs, half-spilled drinks, and a cotton candy machine. My lawn looked like a carnival had exploded. I saw teens jumping from my deck railing into the pool like it was a theme park. Someone had even opened my storage bin and started handing out my towels like party favors. And the front gate? Wedged open with a gardening rake. Who does that? I tried calling my neighbor David. He's the only one on the block with common sense. No answer. Then I dialed the sheriff's office. They were polite, but currently responding to a multi-car collision and would send a unit when available. No timeline, no real help. Just, we'll see. So I sat there on a rock overlooking the ridge, watching my home turn into spring break for entitled strangers. It wasn't just trespassing. It was delusion. A kid was using my citronella candle as a hot dog condiment holder. I watched in horror as someone sprayed Ma Queen Zacco across my pool tiles in neon paint while laughing like it was a prank show. That's when it clicked. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't miscommunication. This was a takeover. Marge Templeton had finally snapped. And this time, she picked the wrong house. Because while I couldn't stop her yet, I could record. And oh, I did. Every second, every spilled drink, every license plate. By the time the sun dipped behind the trees, I had enough evidence to write a trilogy. And as Marge stood by the pool telling someone on the phone, "He won't be back until Monday. It went perfectly," I looked at my screen and whispered, "You just made this personal." Part 3. Finley awakens. I didn't sleep that night, not because of fear, but because I finally had a plan, a quiet kind of revenge. No yelling, no ranting on next door, just engineering. The moment I got home, I walked past the empty cups in the grass. the spray paint on my pool wall, and went straight into my garage. Flipped on the lights, and there it was. A dusty storage bin marked Aqua Beta Project, Do Not Test. Inside was Finley, an old prototype from my college days, originally built for a thesis on aquatic motion detection. Low profile, propeller-driven, shaped like a little sub with a detachable fin. It was meant to be clever. Now, it was going to be terrifying. I spent 12 hours reworking everything, upgraded the motors, retuned the algorithms to mimic shark-like movement. Then, I mounted the pièce de résistance, a fiberglass dorsal fin, sleek, black, menacing. And I didn't stop there. I installed waterproof speakers inside that could emit low, unsettling growls underwater, the kind you don't hear, you feel. Then I synced it with my smart system. If the pool sensors were triggered without my phone nearby, Finley would activate. Swim, circle, roar. I tested it in an inflatable tub. The moment I triggered the sensor, Finley zipped to life, splashing water and letting out a sound that made me jump. It was perfect, terrifying, but safe. Just enough to make sure no one ever swam in my pool again without permission. I printed new signs. Private property. Trespassers will be recorded. Automated pool deterrent system in use. I posted them on the gate, the fence, the deck, and then I waited, because I knew her. Marge Templeton wasn't done, and next time she tried, she'd meet Finley, face to fin. Part 4. The bait is set. I didn't need to wait long, because people like Marge, they can't help themselves. She saw my pool as a community amenity, a blank canvas for her HOA fantasies, and I was just the rude recluse standing in the way. So I gave her exactly what she wanted, a second chance. First, I moved my car, parked it in a covered lot across town. Then, I used a friend's Uber account to schedule a fake ride from my address, just like before. Next, I set my smart lights on timers, made the house look empty, dark during the day, lit at night, totally deserted. Then I posted this on my private social media. Quick business trip. Gone till Sunday. Wish me luck. I even let my phone location ping from another city, just to sell the illusion. And sure enough, by day 2, she took the bait. First, it was a trickle. A few HOA regulars strolling by, peeking in. A folding chair dropped off near my gate. Then another. And then Marge arrived, clipboard in hand, same stupid sun hat from the first party, and a Bluetooth mic clipped to her oversized scarf like she was emceeing a pageant. She planted a sign near the sidewalk. Neighborhood potluck pool party, hosted with love. I nearly choked on my coffee. From a friend's guest room just down the street, I watched it all unfold in high definition, every camera rolling, even the drone cam hovering quietly above, silently documenting the sequel to her stupidity. The bounce house inflated near my fence again. Coolers opened, music blaring, children shrieked as they jumped into the water, adults toasted with drinks they hadn't bought, grilled food they didn't ask to cook, and strutted around like they owned the place. And at the center, Queen Marge, commanding the chaos with her mic like she was running a resort. I smiled, because they had no idea. Finley was waiting, beneath the surface, silent, still, armed with speakers, motion tracking, and a mission to defend and to terrify. Part 5. Finley unleashed. The sun hit its peak. Kids were splashing, screaming, teenagers doing cannonballs off my deck. Someone had even dragged my ice chest out from the garage and was using it as a bench. And then I saw her, Marge, clutching a red Solo cup like it was a royal goblet, laughing, strutting, gesturing toward my house like it was a community lodge. She had no clue. I hovered my cursor over the icon labeled Finley Live Mode. One click, and my little aquatic masterpiece would rise. So I counted to 3 and pressed it. It started with a hum, low, subtle, barely audible through the underwater speakers. Then, the dorsal fin breached the surface, smooth, sharp, slicing through the pool like a blade through silk. And then, a little girl screamed, "Shark!" One of the teens shouted, "Bro, is that real?" Another slipped, trying to get out. A mom grabbed her toddler by the arm and yanked him up, screaming. "And Finley?" Finley roared. Well, it growled, but underwater, that growl hit deep, felt more in the chest than the ears. It darted left, then looped back hard. Water splashed. People panicked. Someone shouted, "It's coming for me!" A guy knocked over the grill trying to run. Burgers hit the grass. Plastic chairs flew. A woman tripped over a flamingo floaty and went face first into the concrete. Phones dropped. Coolers overturned. A teenager yanked the Bluetooth cord out of the speaker. Boom! Silence. Then Marge screamed. She was standing poolside, clutching her clipboard like it was a riot shield. Finley spun and surged toward her. She backpedaled, fell into a lounge chair, flipped it, landed flat on her back. Beautiful. One guy, the hero type, jumped in to check it out, swam 2 strokes, then bolted back out like he'd seen death. "It's tracking movement," he yelled. "It's following us." The crowd scattered. Someone abandoned a crying toddler near the hedges. Moms screamed. Teens jumped fences. A guy tried covering the camera with a towel. Didn't matter. I had 3 more recording everything. Then, the pièce de résistance. Sirens. Not from Finley, from the real cops. Part 6. The police arrive and Marge cracks. Right as Marge flailed to her feet, a police cruiser rolled up to the front gate, lights flashing, doors swinging open. 2 officers stepped out, taking one look at the chaos. Water everywhere, burger patties in the grass, kids crying, adults drenched. One of the officers raised his voice. "This property is under private ownership. If you are not the homeowner or do not have documented permission, you are trespassing." Boom. You could hear a pin drop after that. Marge stormed up, dripping wet, hair matted to her cheeks, and screamed, "There's an AI shark in the pool! It attacked us! It tried to drown my nephew!" The officer blinked, looked over at Finley, still circling slowly in the water. Fin above the surface, mildly menacing. Then he calmly said, "Ma'am, this appears to be a deterrent device installed by the property owner. There are signs posted clearly." And that's when Marge froze. Because the signs, the ones I printed, baby, were big, bold, and legally bulletproof. She held up her clipboard like it was going to save her. It didn't. "This was for the community," she mumbled. But the officer wasn't buying it. He looked at the cameras, then at the guests, half of whom were still in wet clothes, trying to sneak off with paper plates full of potato salad. "Anyone not a resident needs to leave now." And just like that, the HOA's little pool rebellion scattered. But I wasn't done. Still watching from my laptop across the street, I zoomed in on Marge, standing there, alone, mouth twitching, hat gone, clipboard cracked, watching her empire collapse around her. And, oh, she had no idea this was just the beginning, because the next email was already queued in my drafts, ready to hit send. Part 7. The cease and desist letter goes out. By the time Marge stumbled home, soaked and humiliated, the envelope was already en route, a legal cease and desist letter, signed, stamped, delivered by courier. Courtesy of my attorney, Jonathan Carlisle, the calmest shark in a courtroom you'll ever meet. Inside that envelope, video evidence, screenshots, witness affidavits, and a personal note that read, "Civil charges pending. Refrain from all further contact or use of this property." I watched on my cam as she opened it. She barely read 2 lines before her face went pale. Then, she dropped it like it was radioactive and bolted back inside, slamming the door behind her. Victory? Not yet. Because Marge doesn't go down quietly, not without a final performance. The next morning, flyers started showing up on lampposts, bulletin boards, even tucked into mailboxes. In giant red letters, they screamed, "Local resident installs dangerous military-grade technology in family neighborhood." Underneath, a blurry photo of my pool, a solemn headshot of Marge looking like a martyr, and a tear-off slip at the bottom that said, "Join the resistance. Call Marge." I nearly choked on my coffee. It was pure HOA theater, printed like a middle school protest flyer. But it backfired. Hard. Because by noon, David, my favorite neighbor and low-key legend, posted a clip from his doorbell camera to social media. It showed the exact moment Marge got spooked by Finley and flipped over the lounge chair like a stunned turtle. The video? Instant gold. It spread like wildfire. Local HOA meme pages, Reddit, even TikTok. Captions ranged from "Karen versus Robot Shark" to "HOA Queen gets dethroned by tech." Comments poured in, "This guy's a hero. Protect this man at all costs. Where can I buy one?" I stayed silent. No posts, no comments, just watched. Because Marge, she was doing all the damage to herself. But the real blow? That came at the HOA meeting. Part 8. The HOA strikes back. Against Karen, I didn't even need to show up to the HOA meeting. My lawyer, Jonathan, handled everything. He walked in, briefcase in one hand, and a thick stack of printed screenshots and timestamps in the other. As Marge stood up, clearly expecting a round of applause for her community leadership, Jonathan laid it all out. Page after page of unauthorized access, use of HOA funds for personal parties, trespassing charges, evidence of vandalism, and yes, the footage of her running from a robot shark, the room. Silent. Even her closest allies just sat there, blinking, like deer in headlights. Then Richard, the HOA president, who usually kept to himself, finally spoke up. He looked Marge dead in the eyes and said, "This isn't leadership. This is law-breaking. And it ends now." The board voted right then and there. Marge was stripped of any HOA decision-making authority, banned from holding future leadership roles, personally fined for using HOA funds to rent chairs, a cotton candy machine, and hire a DJ. Expenses Jonathan had receipts for. Thanks to my security cams, she didn't even argue, just stood there, cheeks red, hands trembling, and walked out before the meeting even ended. Her so-called supporters scattered like pigeons after a firecracker. Most of them only backed her because of the free snacks and shade anyway, but I wasn't done. Not yet, because I knew her type, entitled "People Don't Retreat, They Regroup." So I upgraded Finley, added motion detection fail-safes, voice recognition, and installed a backup mic camouflaged as a pool light, streaming directly to a cloud server Jonathan could access any time. This wasn't paranoia. This was preparation. Because only 4 nights later, at 3:02 a.m., a motion alert pinged on my phone. Part 9. Caught in the act. Karen goes full burglar. It was pitch black outside, but my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Motion detected, backyard gate. I tapped the alert, and there she was, dressed in all black. Hoodie pulled tight. flashlight in one hand, and bolt cutters in the other. Karen, at 3:02 in the morning, looking like a budget cartoon burglar. She crept toward the pool gate, fumbling with the lock like she'd done it 100 times in her head. But this time, she wasn't alone. I tapped one button. Boom. Floodlights exploded on. Every inch of my yard lit up like Broadway. Karen froze mid-snip, eyes wide, caught like a raccoon in a spotlight. Then the speakers kicked in. "You are trespassing on private property. Law enforcement has been notified. Please leave immediately." She jumped, dropped the bolt cutters, and scrambled backwards, like a horror movie extra, finally breaking into a full, clumsy sprint down the alley. I didn't chase her. I didn't even get out of bed. I just forwarded the footage to Jonathan with one line. "Told you she'd try." By noon, the police had reviewed the footage, and by that afternoon, Karen was officially under arrest for criminal trespass with intent to tamper. She made bail. But this time, the charges were sticking. The HOA had had enough. An emergency vote removed her permanently from any HOA liaison position. She was even barred from attending future meetings unless invited. The final straw? She'd gone behind the board's back, misused funds, dragged the neighborhood into a viral disaster, and then came back for more. Most neighbors stayed quiet, but some, they slipped notes into my mailbox. "Thank you. We were too scared to speak up. You did what we all wanted." I didn't gloat, didn't post online, didn't even bring it up in conversation. I just went back to enjoying my pool, because peace was finally mine. Part 10, A Shark's Legacy, and the day Karen vanished. It started with a for sale sign. No announcement, no farewell letters, no HOA bulletin blast like she usually loved doing. Just a plain white sign hammered into the lawn of Karen's front yard, leaning slightly to the left, like even the post had given up. Within days, the house was listed. Within weeks, it was empty. The self-appointed queen of the HOA, gone. Vanished like a bad idea in daylight. Word spread fast. Some said she'd moved to Arizona. Others claimed she was taking time to heal from the emotional trauma of suburban betrayal. Whatever the truth was, nobody missed her. I didn't dance, I didn't cheer, but I did finally swim in peace. I replanted the flowers she trampled, painted over the pool wall with a new mural, one of calm ocean waves, added some new floaties, sea turtles this time, a little softer vibe than the robot shark. And Finley? He stayed. I gave him a permanent charging dock, updated his firmware, and added voice recognition in case someone really tried pushing their luck again. He wasn't just a prank anymore. He was part of the home, a legend, a warning, and maybe just a little The best part? A package arrived a few weeks after Karen moved. No note, no sender. Inside, a t-shirt with a cartoon shark wearing sunglasses and the words, "Pool Defender," David confessed later. He'd ordered it as a gag gift after seeing Finley go viral. I laughed, then hung it like a trophy above Finley's dock in the garage. And when new neighbors moved into Karen's old place, I gave them a welcome basket. Cookies, iced tea, local numbers for utilities, the usual. And before I left, I smiled and said, "Hope you enjoy the peace and quiet around here." They laughed. Of course they knew the story. Everyone did. It had become neighborhood folklore, a modern suburban legend about one entitled HOA Karen, a quiet homeowner who'd had enough, and a robotic shark fin that drew the line in the water. The next morning, as I floated in the pool, eyes closed, arms spread, I whispered to myself. Not all heroes wear capes. Some just build shark butts. And under the soft ripple of sunlight, Finley glided beneath me, silent, steady, still guarding the peace.